to compete with all the teams in that group, if I'm honest.
Let's bring in Greg in Stirling. What's your feelings on last night overall, Greg?
Hello, Gordon. Hello, panel.
Hello.
I don't think we were a million miles off. I don't think. Well, obviously we've never done enough to get anything from the game, but I think at that level it's fine margins. I mean, I was saying to the producer, even silly things to me anyway, like Kyogo being in the wall. I don't even know why he's there. He's a wee guy, you know. I mean, that Marvin's obviously doing his pro license for the UEFA. He'll know more than me, but to me, I don't get it. Like, obviously, Joe Hart, once upon a time, was a world class keeper. He knows what he's doing with setting up his wall, of course. But it's just wee things like that, and I think when they go 1-0 up, especially at that time, going into half time, they're on the ascendancy. I think it's wee things like this that
I know the Celtic fans out there, Greg, someone will know the answer to this. It's not something I've noticed. Is Kyogo normally in the wall? Is he normally at that position in the wall for Celtic? I genuinely have no idea.
I have no recollection of ever seeing him there.
But would you be confident in that? Because I'm kind of the same, but I just don't know. I just don't feel like I've ever paid any attention.
I think
someone can dig out some footage during the news and send it to me.
I think the timing of the goal, as well as the execution and the defending of the goal, are important here, because Celtic had matched Feyenoord. Feyenoord were not what was allegedly on the tin, and Celtic were doing away quite nicely. And then at that worst possible moment, Kyogo makes the mistake, Joe Hart makes a mistake, and between them they cost Celtic the goal. If you want to say fine margins and that's why Celtic lost, okay, but I think that overall Celtic did not do anything remotely near enough to draw or win the match.
Yeah, I think Greg did acknowledge that as well. I mean, Greg, does it get better from here? You know, Hugh and Marvin are pointing out that although they were the top seeds in the group, that there's every chance that, you know, Atletico Madrid are as good, maybe better. How do you feel about Celtic's chances overall and where they are in the Champions League?
Well, to answer your last part, I think we belong there for sure. I don't think it's I know I said it before, I don't think we're a million miles off. I know that was just one game, but in general, even looking back, of course, when we got beat 7-0, I forget the other scoreline, but to Barcelona, PSG, but then they beat each other by those scorelines at different times. I think there's too much read into that. To answer your question, Gordon, I think we do belong there. I'm obviously hoping for the best, but yeah, so it's all down to, I know it's easy to say, on the day and on the night, taking our chances. I believe we're at that level. Put it that way. I don't think we're out of place there, but it is quite frustrating. I mean, I'm a die-hard Celtic fan, and it is frustrating when you see the same thing kind of over and over.
That's kind of what we were on about earlier. It just feels like, if you look, there's two teams, to state the obvious, Hugh, like, you get sometimes a team can play really badly and they might just nick a result and they might nick something. It's somehow hard to see Celtic doing that in Europe. Does that make sense? That maybe even they perform worse than they did in some of the games last season, or they perform, you know, they have some sort of adversity, but they somehow get away with the result. At the moment, it's either well beaten by a much better team like Real Madrid, or then we come back to fine margins. What combination is it going to take to get the positive result?
Moments. Gordon Strachan had his moments in the Champions League. Neil Lennon had his moments in the Champions League. But results in the last few years would tend to suggest that they don't belong there, and that no Scottish team belongs there. We hide behind the phrase, we're Europa League teams. And then they start to drop out of the Europa League into the conference, etc., etc. I don't think at the moment you could truthfully say Celtic belong there.
I've just got a really boring thought on that, and it's that if you qualify for it, you belong there. There's however many, is it 32 teams in it? Somebody's going to be the 32nd best team in it. Somebody's going to be the 31st best team in it, and therefore you belong there. That's just my sort of boring take on it, but I get what people mean when they get stuck into that argument.
Yeah, I think it's as Hugh said there, it's extremely difficult for our teams at this moment in time to qualify out of these Champions League groups. I think, third place would be a success for Celtic, if I'm honest, this season. And I think that probably, the next few seasons going forward, and unless we get, they get massive investment, etc. So in terms of belonging there, can they compete at a level where, they're not embarrassed? Definitely. But I think it would be, a good few years till we see one of our teams qualify at Champions League.
Thank you very much to Greg. What a quick hour that was. It's that time of the night already.